we're going to start a new topic. We're going to be looking at the elements of poetry. Let's get straight into it. So, what is a poem? We're going to have a look at 5 different poems right now. And while I read them out to you, I want you to be thinking, is this a poem? If it is, what makes it a poem? If I think it's not a poem, I wonder what makes it not a poem. So let's go through them together and see. This one's called The Shopping List. Today at the shops, I need to buy apples, bananas, ice cream and pie, carrots and milk, berries and meat, bread, spaghetti, and also a treat. Let's go to the next one. I'll come back and I'll discuss what I think later. The Secrets of Space. The wonders of the universe astound me, the never-ending blackness of space. Oh, how I wish I could travel into the unknown and uncover the lost secrets of time. That was a bit different, wasn't it? How about poem number 3? Snakes. I don't know if you like snakes. I'm not a big fan, especially when I am riding my bike and I'm not expecting to see one. Snakes slither along slippery surfaces using the sidewinding method. Hopefully you can say the s sound okay. The snake spears its head forward and the rest of the body follows. Some snakes can ascend sandy slopes without slipping while sidewinding. How about this poem? The Forgotten One. Anger bubbles viciously inside me, like a cauldron of boiling water. My head is a ball of raging fire, burning and throbbing with pain. My heart is a shattered mirror, broken in a million pieces. How could my parents forget my birthday? Oh, I'm glad that's never happened to me. This final one. Snowflakes. Snowflakes. Graceful, intricate, floating, dancing, falling. Perfect in their uniqueness. Flawless. If you're going to put up your fingers, how many of those 5 do you think were poems? You got 1 finger up? I know there was one that had rhyming in it. Would you put 2 fingers up? I know a lot of them had lots of very interesting language. It was very poetic, very emotional. I wonder if you'd have 3 fingers up. You think, this one seems to be following some rules, like it's in some kind of special structure. It's different to just a regular narrative. Maybe you have 4 fingers up and you think, oh yeah, this one was just all about emotion and just focusing on that one topic, and it just seemed like a bit of a poem to me. Or maybe it's a 5 where you think all of them were poems. So maybe looking at this one you think, maybe it's in the shape almost of a snowflake is how this poem's written, and that makes it a poem. If you answered 5, I'd agree with you. I actually think all of these are poems. If you want a really basic answer, if you ask a grade 2, they might say poems have to rhyme. We're looking at this shopping list poem, and I see buy and pie and meet and treat. So sometimes our poems, such as Dr. Seuss, or apparently he's meant to be pronounced as Dr. Seuss, because I think he's German. I could be wrong with that, but I'm pretty sure that's how you're meant to pronounce it, not as Dr. Seuss. Some of them rhyme, and often they're put in couplets, or just means that put in pairs. You have 2 of them. You might want to rhyme, the first sentence with the second, and then rhyme the third with the fourth. Or maybe you might want to do it's such like this. You might want to go the first and the fourth are the same, and the second and the fourth are the same. So you might want to go like buy and meet, and then, pie and treat. That could be a way that you write it. So rhyming. Often it's also the last word in that line. We had this one. It didn't have any rhyming, but if you look at it, the structure of the poem is very similar. We have a word with a comma, and then a word full stop. Word with a comma, then word full stop. Similar amount of syllables. If you want a trick with counting syllables, I always like to count it as a robot. So I say the wonders, someone 3, of the universe. I'm on 8. Astound me. Counting as a robot, I'm seeing how many times my chin goes up and down. I'm counting 11. Maybe if I tried again, I'd count it differently. The never ending black. Wait, sorry. What am I saying? Blackness. I'm counting to blackness, yeah, of space. I'm counting 9. Let's see if it's similar to the other one. Oh, how I wish I could travel into the unknown. I'm counting 13. And then let's see if it's similar to 9, this one. And uncover the lost secrets of time. So 10. So in this one, the structure's similar. I've got an 11 and 9, and then a 13 and 10. So it's like this one with the comma and this one with the comma, similar amount of syllables. This one with the full stop and this one with the full stop, similar amount. Let's have a look at our snakes one. Was this one poetry? I wonder if you know what this is called. I call it alliteration. Alliteration means the words have the same sound. So I've got the s sound. So looking at all of the s words, I've got lots in the first, in the middle sentence, not so many, and in the last one I've got again a lot of ascend. See, that's even though it's not the start of the word, I'm going to count it. Slopes. I don't even know. Would I even count this S? Maybe. Sidewinding. So it's got lots of S's. And now I've said S lots, you're probably hearing it and it's annoying you. So maybe I'll just remove that sound from my vocabulary. That makes it a poem. Alliteration. The forgotten one. So this one, we're talking about emotions. Again, very similar structure. Sort of simple sentences, and they all follow that rule of just having to have that full stop. We're talking about the emotions. So it talks about anger. Then it says like it's painful is the feeling you're feeling, and then like it's your heart is shattered. That's how you're feeling. And then the last one is why you're feeling that way. So I'd say this poem isn't just about they're forgetting their birthdays. This one's really about emotions. That was the theme of that poem. And then this one, as I mentioned before, it kind of looks like a snowflake or like a Christmas tree. So that would be another way. Another way you could look at it is, well, we've got one word, and then 2 words, and then 3 words, and then 4 words, and then 1 word. So it's following that shape or that structure. So if you're going to have to write another paragraph, it would again have to be 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, 4 words, and 1 word. So it doesn't have to rhyme if you want it to be poetry. So what is poetry? Let's go over it. It's very broad, which just means there's no one very quick definition we can use. So poetry is just imaginative writing. Often poetry is a bit shorter, not necessarily though. We know that it's always expressing either thoughts or feelings or emotions, and it has to be creative. I don't know if I've ever read a poem that is not creative, or at least tried to be creative. Stories can be interesting, but not necessarily creative. I would say poetry really needs to make sure that it follows some form of rule. So whether the rule is that it is going to be short and just expressing a little bit of emotion, or whether it's going to be funny and use some rhyming, or if it's going to be sad and use a structure where it looks like a star or it looks like a sad face, the way it's been written. I think you call that a shape poem. Poems really should be very free. There isn't one rule that you have to follow. As long as you make the rule in your head, then and you follow that, then it becomes poetry. So if your rule for your poem is, well, every sentence I write has to fit to be 10 syllables, then that's a poem. If your poem is going to be an acrostic poem and you want it to spell out something, that's a poem. If you want it to sound in a similar way like alliteration, that's a poem. So there you go. I think that's pretty good to me. Let's see very quickly one other example, just so that we can fit it all into this unit. And then I'd love for you guys to write your own poems today. So we're going to focus on these things this term. I'm mainly focusing on structure today for this lesson. Our learning intention is, as I said in the lesson, as you can see in the lesson, we're looking at structure. So we will look at rhythm and rhyme and sound devices and figurative language in a later week. So looking at structure, we can have it split up into two ways. We have fixed and we have free. Fixed verse, so if I go back, I'll give you an example of a fixed verse poem. This one is an example of fixed. It had a similar amount of syllables in this one and this one, yeah? And then it had a similar one for row 2 and 4. Also, the fixed rule was it had to rhyme. The first and second had to rhyme, and the third and fourth had to rhyme. So if they're going to write another sentence, it'd have to have a comma, it'd have to have a full stop, and this word would have to rhyme. If they didn't, they would be following the rule, so it wouldn't be a very creative poem, I don't think. Free poems are a little bit different. So let's see, what's a good free poem here? I'd actually say a lot of these are fixed, so maybe let's see if there's a better example later, which I know there is. I have to fast forward. So here we have an example of a free verse poem. We have, at night the bats fly, wings extended, the wind soars beneath, their shadows dancing on the moon, hunting silently in darkness. So there's no real rule of how many syllables I have in the first or the second or the third or the fourth. There's no rhyming. I don't have any rhyming as the last letter or anywhere else in the thing. And if there was, I'm sure it'd be rhyming by mistake. So what makes this a poem? Well, we have so much figurative language. So we have shadows dancing. So this dancing, we call that personification, where you're explaining something as if it was a human. Shadows can't dance because it's not a person or something that can dance. But you're explaining in a way that was very human-like, so personification. The wind soaring, again, it's sort of saying the wind is like the wind is flying, whereas we know the bat is flying. So again, that is, it's sort of like personification. It's sort of making it sound like it's an animal. And yeah, we have sort of the emotion, the darkness of the night makes us sort of feel a special way. So this is free verse in terms of it's not really following a structure rule, but it's still following rules because it's using personification, it's using emotive language, and yeah, it's just creative in a different way. If we look at fixed verse, well then that is when you are really making sure you are following that structure of where rhyming fly and high and glow and below. And we have, comma, full stop, comma, full stop. So you're following that rule for how you're writing it. Today, your mission, whether you choose to accept it, which I'm happy to hear that you have accepted it because you have to. Your mission today is to write your own poem. You choose whether it's going to be fixed or if it'll be free. Fixed as in it's going to maybe have rhyming, or it will just have some kind of structure to the writing. Or if it's free and you're not really following any rules in terms of how it looks on the paper, but if it's free verse, you're going to have to make another rule up, such as I'm going to use lots of similes in my story. Maybe my story is about how much I love cake, and I'm going to say I love cake like a frog loves hopping in a pond. That's not the best example, but you get the idea. I will quickly write up an example now to show you, and then I'd love to read your poems later. Don't forget, if you are doing rhyming, have it like this where you're following that fixed verse idea where the rhyming word is at the end of the line, not necessarily sentence. All right, I'll come back once I've shown you my poem. Okay, so I'm just finishing up now. I just realized how giant my face was in the video so far. I apologize for that so far. All right, I've written my verse. I haven't finished it yet. Let's read it out together. I love cake like a monkey loves bananas. Cake in me is like grass and llamas. Chocolate, cream, and sprinkles. I'll love it even when I'm old and wrinkled. There you go. Sprinkles, wrinkled, even when I'm old and have wrinkles, maybe? And have wrinkles. And then it ends with an S, and that rhymes better. All right. So, did you know that apparently monkeys don't even really love bananas? Apparently, if you give a monkey a banana or, mango, they're much more likely to eat the mango. Anyway, that's just a fun fact for you. And grass llamas, llamas love eating grass. I don't know if you've watched Napoleon Dynamite, great movie. I'm not a big fan of how short this sentence is, so maybe if I'm going to go back and edit it, I will maybe add a little bit more. But here's my rule that I had in my brain. So I wanted to have some similes. So I had like, which is a simile. I'm saying I like it like a monkey loves bananas. We had like, so it's another simile. So I had two similes. And then I had this, which we call the rule of three, where you say three things. So you make sure you have a comma: chocolate, cream, and sprinkles. And then my last sentence was just, again, rhyming sprinkles with wrinkles. So my rules were similes, rhyming for these four, the rule of three, and trying my best to have it all in that fixed structure, not free, because of my comma, full stop, comma, full stop. I look forward to reading all of your awesome poems today. All the best.